ladies and gentlemen, let me share a recent experience I had with you. It was Saturday, June 13th. 95 degrees, very humid. Unseasonably hot for a spring day. The location, Odessa, Florida. The spot, Old McMickey's Farm. You've never heard of this place. It's a place where you generally send your kid off to a field trip. They give a tour, there's a petting zoo, and they have hay rides. But on that day, we were not there to do any of that. We were there for a special event they were hosting. And this was to start at 2 p.m. So me and my wife got there nice and early. We found our seat in the hot sun, it was outdoors, and we waited for this event to start. After some time of waiting, we looked down at our cell phones and said, wow, it's 2:45. Is this thing ever going to start? My wife was and I were actually starting to get aggravated. We're like, this thing is never going to start on time. We might as well just give up and go. And my wife said, you know what, the car is just a short walk away. The AC, let's get back in the AC and cool off because we're melting. I said, you know what, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's give it a few more minutes. This meeting, this event is just too important for us because that day was the Child Adoption Education Day. I'll tell you a little bit of our backstory. See, my wife and I have been married for 5 years. And we've been unable to have children of our own. Not without, lack of trying. We just haven't been able to successfully conceive, right? So the event actually did start eventually. And we got the information we came for, because we were totally ignorant about the whole process of adoption or even foster care. And I'll share some of that information with you, but I wanted to let you know what really affirmed our choice to go forward in this step in our lives was the testimonials we heard from the families that showed up and spoke. They were just overwhelmingly pleased with how well the adoption process made them feel and changed their life for the good. Some of the people that spoke were people with fertility issues, kind of like myself and my wife. Another couple stood up. They were an older couple. They actually raised their own children to adulthood, and they decided, you know what, we have more love to give. Let's go ahead and adopt. And they ended up adopting 3 more kids.
Wow.
There was a single woman who didn't have a mate. She decided, she wasn't going to wait around for, something to happen. She decided to start a family on her own by herself, and she adopted 5 kids.
Whoa. Oh my.
But the most inspirational testimonial that day was a young man that spoke to us. He was 17 and a half years old. And this guy, he wasn't adopting anyone. He was actually still an orphan. He had been in the system his entire life. But he got up and told us that he was just so excited that in 2 weeks, he was going to be adopted. And he wanted us to know that it's never too late to be adopted. The most important thing to him was to have a place, a home, a family that cared about him, a place to be, someone to listen to him and just share his troubles with. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are thousands, over 1,800 kids in Tampa Bay area alone that are in need of a home, many of which are a victim of abandonment. Some have special needs, and there are a lot of teenagers, which are the hardest to place because people generally want small kids. I hope from what I said so far, you've gained a little bit of inspiration for yourself, and maybe after today's talk, you will consider perhaps adopting or going into foster care for yourself as well. And I'll let you know that the process is not easy. It's a hard road to travel. The time is very long. It takes up to 1.5 years from start to finish to get an adoption going. And I'll let you know some of the steps that we're going to have to take to go through this process. First of all is orientation, and that's where we're at right now. We're just going to attend basically an introductory meeting to let us know basically this is what it's about, this is what's involved, welcome. After that, we're going to have to do some preparation courses, and these are a series of classes we'll have to complete. And once we complete those, we're going to move into what's called home study, where an adoption specialist will come to our house, inspect our living conditions, investigate our financial background, just make sure everything checks out, that we have a suitable place for us to raise a kid. after that's complete, they will submit forms for approval. And I understand that that's a really long waiting period. So it can be maddening from what some of the people told us. It just takes so long to go through some of these steps. But if you persevere and you make it through approval, the next step is match making or match finding. And that's when it starts to get fun. You go to events, you can look online, you can go to picnics and other events to meet prospective adoptive kids. So once you found your match, the next step is a series of meetings, and if those go well, they move on to placement, which is more of a longer term kind of stay at your house. And if that goes well, then you pass the final step. You go to the formal adoption, where you appear for a judge, and he or she bangs her gavel and says, you're officially a family. So it's a hard road, ladies and gentlemen, but let me tell you, from the testimonials we heard, it is definitely worth it. And there's just too many reasons out there not to adopt. So I'm looking to you for hopefully getting some inspiration from me. And if you could look into your heart and your home and consider adoption or fostering a child. Thank you, Toastmasters. Oh.